Good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. And once again, welcome back and welcome to in my channel today. Today we are here with the episode number 21 of Unknown to None with none other than James Down, who is co-host of Service Ducks. So before we say, okay, hi James, how are you doing? So James, once again, thank you so much for giving time, opportunity to join with me on the live podcast Saturday morning, 7:30 time. I know it's tough. It's a Saturday, it's a weekend, it's summer, but thank you so much for giving time to me. Okay, so before we start, let's follow the tradition. Let's take 10-20 second pause, pray to God, give us the power, give us the strength that what we want to be communicate should become in the same manner. And then we start the discussion with James. Okay, James, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. It's always good to catch up with you, Atul, and I've always enjoyed our discussions. So it's actually good to be involved in your channel as well. I'm an avid watcher and listener, and it's always great to see
Nice.
yourself and having fantastic discussions about ServiceNow. So good morning and good afternoon, everybody.
Yeah,
I have lost you
thanks,
on
James.
camera, so where have you gone?
I'm just putting on the full screen now because you are my guest here, so it will be the full
Ah,
screen.
okay. Hello. I have the spotlight. Yes, no, thank you for having
Yes,
me on, Atul. I really do appreciate it, and great to see people in the chat as well.
yes. So people are joining, so we can see. Hi, Jerry. Good morning. And there's another user from the LinkedIn also joined this session now. So James, how you are finding today that being a host now you are a guest? How you feeling? It's like a little
It is a bit odd.
excited or little worried. What is going to be happen?
You see, on the podcast that I co-host, it's very unorganized. So it's quite novel for me to be involved in a podcast where it's or a YouTube
Mhm.
channel or stream where it's actually fairly organized. So my one's absolutely chaos. So it's quite nice to sit on the other side of the fence.
So what are the learnings you find when you host and now you're a guest? Have you prepared anything?
Have I prepared anything?
Yes, like what question can be asked by Atul or maybe by audience? It's a little worried. I'm a guest here now. If I speak something, what people will think about that? Anything worried about that, or you are okay? Yes, Atul, I'm open to for any challenge. Let's go ahead because we have some rapid fire games as well in this session, and get ready for the same.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start the session, James. I want to know that who is James, how
Mhm.
you started your ServiceNow journey, and I know that you are running your own YouTube channel as well, along with Russell. We'll discuss that part in that because I'm interested to know that how this has been started. But before that, I want to know James only. That who is James here?
Yeah, sure, no worries. So, so I'm James. I live in Suffolk, in England, the lovely countryside, very much farmland everywhere, very quiet, very tranquil. But my journey, I actually grew up in Scotland as a kid. You can't tell from my accent at all,
Yes.
but that's it's true. I'm a Scot at heart. But as soon as I kind of graduated from university, I moved down to England because there was much more kind of opportunities for a career growth, and I managed to get into IT. And something that I've always been really proud of is that my first jobs were as part of service desks. So
Oh,
I
nice.
really enjoy the kind of camaraderie around IT service desks and
Mhm.
understanding, what is incidents, what is, the different IT kit that you're having to support, and um, how to deal with customers as
Sweet.
well. How to deal with them. So you want to come in there, Atul?
No, 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 no. Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
Okay, nice. So yeah, no, it's a big part of my background because I learned all of my kind of core soft skills through being on a service desk. How to have empathy with customers, how to take down all their details, how to actually help them and help fixing their issues in the fastest way possible. So that's my kind of immediate background in having that ability to be able to talk to customers. But through that journey, I was able to kind of pick up these opportunities through application support. So I moved to London actually, which was quite a big move for me as I think a 20-year-old. I think so. Just
Oh,
on my own as a 20-year-old in London, there was an opportunity for me to get involved with a bit of consultancy. So kind of moving away from the service desk where I was used to, support and over the phones, to going out and about to client sites, which sounds really novel right now, doesn't it? About going to going to
yes.
customer sites
That's
and
what is
meeting
normal,
people
right?
face to
Correct,
face.
correct.
It's like, yeah. But I love doing that. It gave me that little bit of a buzz, There's a little bit of like, if someone catches you off guard where you don't know a bit of knowledge, or it's all about having to fudge it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
You have to kind of talk your way through it and look like you know
correct.
what you're talking about,
Yeah.
and you have to answer the questions. So it's yeah. Now I went through doing that in a company called Hornbill. So
Hmm.
it was a like an ITSM on-premise kind of solution, and this was really before ServiceNow really took off.
Oh.
So this was as I said, it was on-premise, so it wasn't even in the cloud. So
Hmm.
it was going to sites, doing installations, doing consultancy, doing all the kind of best practice advice and things like that. So I learned a lot of skills from doing that, but it was um it was clear to me at some point, I think it must have been around 2013, twenty
Mhm.
fourteen sort of time, ServiceNow was really taking off because at one point it was absolutely our competitor where I was.
Correct,
And then it was a case of, oh my God, ServiceNow has taken off so, in such a direction that I
correct.
need to be part of it.
Yes.
So I joined a company in the UK. Some may have
Mhm.
heard of it. It was a small one at the time, Partners in IT,
Okay.
which later became Fruition Partners, and that was my first kind of foray into ServiceNow. I think my
Hmm.
first instance that I ever seen was on version Dublin,
Oh,
so fairly early, I guess.
yes.
Obviously many changes since Dublin, but I initially joined as a process consultant or a business consultant, I think it's probably called
Hmm.
now. So running workshops because I was used to going out to client sites and
Correct.
asking for their requirements, and I used to be actually go from uh, each end of the actual life cycle of our customer delivery. So the
Yes.
requirements, the technical delivery, the training. I was used to kind of delivering the whole package from a previous organization.
Nice. Okay.
So this was just a little bit shorter than that. It was just about delivering the requirements and passing it over to the technical folk. But through years of doing that, and the company understanding that I do have this kind of technical background, I
Hmm.
started to get a lot more involved with the development work as well.
Oh.
So I made that switch in my
Hmm.
career. There was at one point in my career, it was like, right, do you know what? I'm fed up of traveling to customer sites. I want to sit at home in my pants and do some development
Correct.
work.
Agree. Good. So James, I have a question here again
Yeah,
from that part. So you say you started your journey with a service desk, right? And I'm sure that a lot of people like you, me, and who joining this session as well, almost people start their journey with a service desk.
yeah.
So how you are feeling now that, hi, good morning, my name is James, to say that yes, this solution has been built by me. How you're feeling the difference of that lines has been changed your life? Is it changed only professionally, or it give you the boost in your personal life as well, that you learn something good from the service desk? Or what do you think on that particular part?
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I think a lot of what I learned through Service Desk is, and actually that's a great point, Atul, because um, through the Service Desk, you tend to learn how to multitask. I
True.
mean, I mentioned about the core skills that you learn from a Service Desk, and actually, some of my closest friends are from working on a Service Desk as well. Do you know what I mean? You learn how to support each other. You learn how to,
Right.
jump in on calls where others were struggling. For example, you know how to deal with when customers are angry. They're down on the phone and they don't
Yes.
understand why. So I'll give you an example of that actually. So one of the organizations I used to support on a service desk was
Mhm.
British Steel,
Okay.
and they have, their workers in British Steel are not computer literate at all. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
Their job is to work in the kind of steel mines, and
Oh, okay.
do you know what I mean? These people, when you ask them to reboot their computer, they'll turn off their monitor and back on again.
Okay.
So that's what you're kind of dealing with. So you
Yes.
kind of learn this patience. You understand.
Correct.
You get to learn these kind of core skills of understanding their point of view. And they're not there to be computer whiz kids. They're there that they're like 40, 50 years of old, and they're used
Correct.
to just being steel workers, or do you know what I mean, coal miners in the past. So they're
True.
not that they don't have that background. So you learn these skills about how to listen and how to get them back up and on their feet as soon as possible.
Right. So again, I can say definitely the core skill, if you want to learn from the service desk, is the patience is one, and
Yeah,
supporting your own team in the background, because you know that if anybody's ticket or SLA will get breached, it is going to be
yeah,
impact to everybody in the team as well. That's nice. So how you find the process consulting? Because you say that you work as a process consultant, and also sometime our customers, our clients have no idea that what is process. They say, I
mm,
need this thing, that's all. But you are the right person who can tell that this is right and this is wrong. And
yeah.
we have some rigid customers as well. No, I need only this thing, even though it's a wrong as well. So how you handle that part in your discussions? Because like people like me, again, Jerry is there, and few people who known in my connections more are in the business analyst or the process consultant role only. So what, how you handle that situations?
Yeah, and it's an interesting challenge, isn't it? Because a lot of the times when you talk to customers, they're very protective of their own, internal processes.
Right.
And going there that, yeah, what you're doing is not best practice. Do you know what I mean? But you can't be too aggressive. You have to listen and learn and use the skills that you have to be able to, identify and make good, strong, case for them moving to a more best practice model. So if
Mm,
you're able to talk to them and take them through, right, okay, I've listened to hear what your process is. Now have a look at this much better process. Now have
right.
a look at this better process and then you have to back it up with facts and say, look, this is proven. You're the ones that's come to us for advice here. We're the experts. This is how
True.
everyone else has done it and it's worked. So, let's have a look at this. Let's see how we can map your process into best practice. And sometimes, do you know what? Sometimes some of them must gonna just still say, no, we still want to keep
No.
with our process. So you say,
Correct.
okay, Mr. Customer.
That's right. That's right. And do you face any problem maybe in your workshops? Because from consulting to process consultant, let's say in a room there are 5 or 7 people are sitting together and you're giving a workshop. Two
Yeah.
are or three are agree with your point, but four are not agree with your point. So how you handle that situation?
Yeah, I mean that's quite a common thing as well, because I think what tends to happen with workshops, which is quite funny, is that people just get pulled in,
Yes.
and people people get pulled in straight from hot from working on something else, or they'll go out halfway through as well. They'll be
Right.
popping in and popping out, and they don't understand the full context. And like you say, they come with their own opinions, and this works, this doesn't work. Or some would be, like your enablers. You'll find out pretty
Right.
quickly in the room who are the people that you want to talk to most. But I think
Yes.
what's important is establishing who is the process owner, who is the decision makers. So once you know that, you're able to, essentially talk more to them. It's not ignoring the others, but it's about saying, it's about saying, your thoughts
Yes.
are very valid, but this is a process owner here. This is a person who's accountable for delivering this,
But living right.
and let's work towards a solution that we can all agree on.
Right. So it means if I can take a crunch from this point is that if you know your stakeholder who is the right person is the right thing to do, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's nice. And now I come to your technical journey that you
Mhm.
say that with experiences your boss says your team think that no, you are good for the technical part.
Yeah.
How you're finding this technical stuff? Do you think that service desk is much better, or the process consulting is much better, or this technical is much better?
Do you know what? back when I moved across to being like a junior technical consultant, I found it
Mhm.
very daunting. I think now when people think of me, they're thinking, "Oh, James, you're very technical. You can do loads of integrations and scripting and blah blah blah." Blah. Do you know? I've had zero background in any scripting. I didn't do IT at university, so I didn't learn any scripting there either. So when I came into it, I was a little bit afraid because all of my peers and those in the team I felt were so much more technical than me. You know what I
Mm.
mean? I can support applications. I can talk to Microsoft apps, but this is different. This is very specific to just ServiceNow.
Correct.
So it's about knowing your product. So what I did in my first kind of year of being a technical consultant was to just take the time and learn the platform. And I mean like taking time in my own time, doing the all the certifications. So I very quickly got the admin certification and then the developer and then the ITSM, the
Right.
usual path that most kind of go. But then you kind of realize at that point when you start to get engaged with customers that theory is one thing, practice is something
Practical is
completely
one thing. Correct.
different. So you absolutely learn with every single engagement that you do. Sometimes, do you know what, you're not going to do great. You might not be able to
Mm.
figure something out. So you might have a story that you need to develop. You get stuck. You have to ask for advice. And I think this is one of the
True.
biggest things that I impart on people new into the ServiceNow business as a technical consultant. Don't be afraid to ask questions.
True.
I was definitely one of those people. I didn't want to ask questions because it makes me look silly. At that time, I thought, if I, asked my peers questions which I thought maybe dumb questions, then they would judge me for it. They'd judge me thinking, "Oh, you're a technical consultant. You should be able to know this."
Right.
Um, but and
Right.
I know you're fantastic because you ask questions. Like anytime there's something that you don't understand, you make sure you spend the time for it. You ask the people who you know
Yes.
have the knowledge for it, and that's how people should be.
Right.
Everyone should be more
Exactly.
like cattle.
Right. Because it is well said that if you did not ask question, it means you're losing something, not gaining anything. So, and
Yeah,
it is your job. And if you think that you want to be do your job with a in a good manner, with the right practice, right way, then better to be asked question than regret at the later on part.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
in our BA world, say be a shameless guy. Don't think that what other person is going to be think about your question. If you have a very
Yeah.
small question or assumption, because there's no assumption required in our BA world. If assumption is there, then definitely James will going to be kill me. Why you assume? Okay. Now another interesting part. Then we'll start the discussion of the AI ops as well.
Yeah.
I saw that you are wearing that hoodie of the service ducks.
Yep.
Yes. What is that? Let me bring you on the complete screen now so that people can see you.
There we go.
What
Yep.
is this and how you started this? Because I know that you are also doing a podcast with Russell as well on that particular part. How you
Yeah.
think that let's start something and
Yeah.
what you're doing in this particular plan and why you put only this name as a service ducks, not a service now ducks, or not some
um,
not some other kind of a bird name as well.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, this is, I guess, an interesting story. I mean, in terms of the podcast itself, I actually started way before that
Mhm.
because I through my previous job again, I did lots of self help videos. So what I did was I felt as a kind of like service desk agent. So going back to service desk again, if I could answer a lot of our customers' queries using how-to videos, literally just short 5-minute videos, and you can still find these on YouTube if you search hard enough for it. But
Oh,
really awful audio and do you know what I mean? Really unprofessional videos. But I really enjoyed doing that. I really enjoyed sharing content. I found
okay.
so when you start to do this and you start to know what you enjoy doing, then you start to integrate that in with your kind of daily job. So in terms of the podcast itself,
Mhm.
so Russell, I've known Russell for a number of years. He was actually a customer of ours the first time I met him, and I've deployed Discovery, ITOM Discovery for his particular organization at the time,
Mhm.
and we bonded immediately, sort of thing.
Nice.
I managed to get him over to to Fruition Partners at the time. We worked on the same projects, and we built up this kind of bond because we're both really silly. Basically,
Yeah,
we've both got the same personality. We don't take life too seriously,
right.
and it's always a great chat with Russell. It's just so informal. And in terms of how the podcast actually started,
Mhm.
we had a chat about this because we wanted to do something in the space, because at the time, I think this is now probably going nearly 2 years ago now, probably a year and a half ago.
Mhm.
We were talking just generally about maybe we should do like a YouTube channel or something like that, where we just impart our knowledge, share some videos.
You're
We then
right.
started talking about other ideas like a LinkedIn page, or it could even be like a WhatsApp group or
Mhm.
something else. But
Okay.
we landed on podcast because we thought that was quite funny. We also thought it's that minimal effort as well, considering
Mhm.
how busy how you can be as a ServiceNow
Yeah.
partner, and you're booked to customers all the time. We wanted
Correct.
something that is kind of a low maintenance thing that you can just jump on, record, send it out there. That's really what we
Oh,
wanted to achieve. We wanted it to be authentic. We wanted it to be very much informal, like I said before, and we
yes.
wanted to be a chat. Let's have a chat, because we were having chats all the time in the past about really useful things. So we're
Right.
like, why don't we just record it?
Correct, correct. Now,
That's how it started.
that's true. And the good part is that when you get the partner which you work and both have a similar or like-minded, then it is easy for to travel this particular part to make this journey very beautiful. And I love the word which you say, low maintenance. That is very much important, because everybody has a family, have a life here,
Yeah.
and we can't spend hours and hours to doing these things, and our life get affected. Okay, so James, I'll come back on this particular part, and I have another question on the CMA certification as well. But before that, let's start the AI ops. So if you have any kind of a presentation, you can bring on the screen, and I will add that one, and then I'll put my question as well, because I have a lot of questions in my mind to discuss about AI ops.
Yeah, no worries. There was just one thing that I just wanted to follow up on before about the naming. So you asked about the name of Service Ducks. Just before I
Yes.
go over to AIOps, the name of Service Ducks came from an old colleague of ours at Russell and mine in Fruition Partners called Justin Loftus.
Mhm.
Um, we used to meet every month as a team meeting sort of thing. And
Okay.
what he did was he came with this big bag of ducks, and he
Oh,
threw one at each of us. He's like, "Have a duck, have a duck, have a duck." I was like, "Okay, what are these ducks for?" It's just rubber ducks, and it's come from this old, I think it's old philosopher or something like that, where they say you should talk to your duck. So what does that mean? It's like if you have a problem, you talk it out to someone or to something. It doesn't have to be a duck, but talk it out to someone or something where you can just talk through a problem. So the duck doesn't know anything. So you're going to have to start from the beginning and tell the duck everything like it doesn't know anything. And then as you're doing that, you're realizing that you actually find out the solution to the problem that you have, because you've kind of dumbed it down. You've kind of gone from scratch, and you're
mhm.
having to talk it through. So that was the idea. Service ducks
Wow.
was the how that kind of come apart. So thanks to Justin Loftus at UP3.
Wow, thanks, thanks. Definitely. So again, that nobody know that how this idea came in their mind, and someone say, why not you talk to your friend? And maybe if you talk to me, maybe I get frustrated. Why James always has a problem? But duck, as you say, don't know anything. Okay, let's go and talk. Things will be go very in the easy way. Nice thought and nice idea to bring something in the picture as well. Okay, over to you now, James, for the AI ops.
Yes, no problem. I'm just gonna just get my screens right. So bear with me,
Yes,
everybody.
no problem. And I request on the audience part, if you have any question in the AIOps, please feel free to put in the chat
Yeah.
window, and we'll definitely bother James on that particular part. Don't worry. I'm not leaving James very soon now. Till the time we get satisfied. Yes, we're done with something new learning today.
Okay, share screen
Yep.
window. There we go. We're getting there. Hopefully that's sharing the right thing. I think it is.
I got this. Correct.
Yay! Good, good, good. Yes, AI ops. So actually, this is probably one of my most favorite areas of service now. To be honest with you, um,
Okay.
I found AI incredibly exciting. I think since the the news of ChatGPT and just Gen
Right.
AI and all these really clever things, machine learning. I find this like really exciting, to see what is possible with automation and really clever algorithms and things like that, to see how you can really maximize the value of ServiceNow and in the
Mm.
platform. And AIOps, this is actually a generated explanation from ChatGPT, by the way. So I
Oh,
asked this morning ChatGPT. I
nice.
asked ChatGPT, can you just come up with a summary for what AIOps is? And I've just picked out a couple of really key words for us. For
Mhm.
those who aren't aware of what AIOps is, obviously there's lots of terms that get bandied about all the time and thrown around. Sometimes it can get confusing, and I understand that.
Right.
AIOps is very much about how can you proactively identify issues in
Hmm.
your infrastructure, for example. How can you automate the actual remediation of those issues,
Okay.
and how can you increase your operational efficiency? So by moving from a reactive operation where, for example, if you're on a service desk like we mentioned
Mhm.
before, you're reacting because someone's calling you
Right.
up and say, hey, I've got a problem. What this is about is proactively finding the problem before it becomes a problem.
Mm.
So being able to find in data
Hmm.
where we can actually proactively find where the issues lie, um, and being able to apply fixes to those before the customer's calling you up to say, hey, I've got a problem. So this is the nirvana, right? This is where all of our customers want to get
Want
to. They
right.
want to have a better service, and they want to be proactive and save time on their service desks, more
Correct.
importantly, so
Yep.
they can focus on more important tasks.
James, I have a question here that you're using the word problem a lot here. Are we means AI ops for the problem management kind of stuff, or it is for the incident? Because as a process consultant, you know that both the terms are different. Problem is different and incident is different. But I'm getting confused that AI
Yeah.
ops, the origin for AI ops for the incidents or the origin of AI ops for the problem.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, it is both in my mind. In my
Hmm.
mind, AI Ops is a proactive problem management tool.
Okay.
Um, it doesn't have what I would say is it has more links to incident management because, for example, when there's events, when there's alerts that gets
Right.
cropped up in your environments, what's the output of that? Is an incident.
Okay.
But for me, what this is all about is spotting trends. It's about
Oh.
spotting trends in your infrastructure and being able to deal with those trends before they become incidents. So for me, that's why in my mind anyway, it fits nicely into that proactive problem management space.
Okay, good, good. Thanks for clarifying that part. And when you say automate means that if I'm finding any good trend, let's see that how I can automate. Maybe 100%, maybe 30, 40, 50%, right? Or it's something other than that you are thinking on automation perspective.
Yeah, no, exactly that. Like if you're finding particular issues where we have AI to be able to understand what the root cause of those issues are, if
Mhm.
it's something that you typically see, if it's something that is repeatable and is something that, for example, automation can fix, for
Right.
example, increasing disk space, it could be rebooting a server, it could be one of these things where you can
Mhm.
automate a potential fix, then this is the ability to then trigger those automations from the likes of ServiceNow, so you can fix those immediately rather than manually having to go around and rebooting servers or doing routine tasks.
Okay. And to do that particular part, we can use flow, workflows, and all things will be there in the background.
Exactly, it's all about flows. It's all about integration hub. Yeah.
Okay, nice. So it means if I want to be learn AI ops, I should have minimum knowledge of the flows and the integration hub. Is that correct? Or you need or you we need some scripting as well on that particular part.
Yeah, no, I think it's very much it's actually fairly low code in
Oh,
terms of
nice.
AI ops. It's very much a plug and play, a model which can be configured.
Hmm.
I've not seen too much in the way of scripting. You don't have to be a scripting expert to deploy
Nice.
this. Now, obviously, because it's AI and because it's machine learning, there is lots of technical gubbins in there, right?
Right.
Because it has to do all these algorithms, and you don't have to understand that completely, though. There
Okay.
is, yeah. So you don't
Great.
have to, be a whiz kid at algorithms and knowing how to configure those to, to make the best use of it, because you rely on ServiceNow for that, right? You're getting a
Right.
product here which does a lot of that hard thinking for you.
True.
So there is, as we go through the demo very shortly, you'll see just how configurable it is and how much value you just get from just literally just turning it on.
Okay.
Um,
Yep. I will not disturb you now. You can proceed with with the demo because I'm interested to be see that how it's working the service now.
yes. Let me kick on, and I just wanted to just have a couple of lead up slides into the
Sure.
into the demo, if that's okay, because it should explain where AI Ops actually sits in the capability map of ServiceNow. And I don't know if anyone's seen. I'm sure you have seen the capability maps
Yes.
from ServiceNow and how interactive they are. And what I really like with them is that obviously you can go delve into the different areas where you need to have a look at what capabilities are there for certain product domains. And where we're
Mhm.
looking at here is very much in the ITOM domain, right? So this is all about
Right.
ITOM, operations management and efficiency with being able to understand what your infrastructure looks like. It's about understanding the health of your infrastructure. It's about receiving the likes of events and alerts, and how does that impact your services and how does that impact your business. So where the AI ops actually come in here, you can see it from
Mhm.
the middle kind of screen there.
Right.
AI ops almost comes after the likes of your ITOM visibility. So if you imagine if you have your discovery, you maybe
Mhm.
have service mapping as well. You're starting to then look at the health side of things. So you're bringing in events and the alerts. AI ops sits on top of that. So one point that I really want to make out off the back of this is that um, AI ops isn't just a product. It's almost like this framework. There's
Okay.
elements of AI ops where you can benefit from it from just having ITOM health instead of this full kind of enterprise package of AI ops. So I'll go into that in a second. But what I really wanted to point out here is what's our actual expected outcomes of having AI ops. Um,
Mhm.
and there's three key phases of this, right? The first bit is understanding the noise. So predictive AI ops is all about understanding the noise from the likes of your events, your logs, and your metrics. So this is where
Okay.
you're gathering all the data and the knowledge from your infrastructure, and then you're having to try to make sense of it. So you can see some of the platforms like your Dynatrace, your observability platforms,
Right.
um, Nagios, or all the different ones where they can track your different events and
Mhm.
metrics are all bringing to ServiceNow, and it's just noise. How do you deal with it? Do you know what I mean? How are you
Right.
going to actually make sense of all
Get
of
a
this
get a
information?
value from that actually.
Yeah.
Mhm. Okay.
So the next kind of step in that process, or the next phase, really is all about root cause analysis. So
Mhm.
once you understand that noise, it's about what tools do we have available to dig into finding the root cause. And again, this probably strikes a little note with you there, Atul, being a BA and being close to
Mhm.
process, in that this sounds like problem management, right? Finding the
Correct.
causes. So there's tools available to us, which we'll see in a minute, that we can identify the root causes, and there's lots of different information available to us to doing that really quickly.
Hmm.
And the final part is a remediation, the automation that we mentioned before about
Right.
integration hub, about flow. How can we trigger, automation to automatically fix some of these issues when we find them?
Okay. Just one point, James, here. When you say the root cause, so is AI ops using some kind of a problem management root cause analysis techniques as well, like 5Y, Fishbone, 80/20 kind of things, or it has their own framework in itself?
No, I mean it's very technical, right? In terms of it's
Mhm.
about identifying the root cause in terms of because we're receiving logs, because we're receiving that metrics and events,
Right.
we have the CMDB. It's about identifying if there's a particular log that is causing the issue, or a
Mm.
particular configuration change in the CMDB, which has actually caused an issue. So this is very much a technical exercise. It doesn't use any
Right.
kind of I can't remember what the proactive problem management thing was again, but the different techniques of finding root
The
causes.
root
It's
cause.
very much technical in the data. Let's find where the root cause is.
So if I'm a data analyst, it is good place for me to be deep dive, right? Because definitely you're reading the data only.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, for
Nice,
sure.
nice.
So yeah, you can see the outcomes, and I'll speed it up a bit because otherwise I
Yes.
think we'll be here for the next 2 hours. Um, you can see the outcomes there, in terms of, it's clearly, if you're aware of these issues and you're being
Mhm.
proactive, you can fix them straight away. It's going to improve the likes of your outages and downtime. It's going to improve customer satisfaction because they're kept informed about stuff. And also, like I say, improve agility with business. It means you can grow faster. Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, right. We will go into the demo very shortly, I promise you. But this is important because, you know, this is a lot of people talk about licensing.
Mhm.
And I'm not going to go into too much depth, but I just wanted to point out that, AIOps is very much in this space here. You can see the third kind of column there,
Right.
about what you get with it. You get the whole shebang, This is
Mhm.
the mature of the mature. This is the full enterprise ITOM licensing. And what you get with it mainly is this kind of section here. So you can see above and beyond your visibility and ITOM health,
Right.
which is your discovery, your event management. It's all about the log analytics. This is where the big value
Got
play
it.
is.
Okay.
Right. So let me move on because otherwise, like I say, this is going to take ages. So I'm just going to bring up my instance. So bear with me while I just do that, and then I'll take
So,
you through it.
yep. We have few questions as well, but we'll take that question after a demo so that
No
in the
worries. Yeah,
one go we can
we can get
make
through
it
it.
possible. Yep. Yep. And I can see that one of my friend Ajay is also there. He's expert in ITOM. Maybe Ajay, it is a good place for you to explore now that how you can use ITOM and definitely AIOps together with your event and alerts as well. So we want to be here from you maybe the next time. Okay, wow, these are so many tools you are showing me. It's look like a DevOps.
Yeah, I have many steps as well. I'm gonna give you the cut down version of this demo, okay? And I'm gonna try and
Okay.
be high level with this, but obviously there's loads of
Mhm.
resources out there, and we'll come back to that.
Okay.
Okay, so AI Ops. Now, obviously, right here, right now, I'm in the service operations workspace, okay? And we talked about the three phases. Remember the noise, managing the noise, the root cause analysis, and the remediation. We're just looking at noise right now. We'll concentrate on that one. So, in terms of noise, this is all about configuring your integrations with your platforms, with the likes of events. So, you can see here the different things that we have in terms of events to pull and push events into your platform. You can see
Mhm.
Nagios, SCOM, SolarWinds, etc. We're aware of that. That's part of ITOM Health. We know we can receive events from these tool sets, right? But then we've also got the likes of logs. So we can enable the log connectors where we can bring in logs from different systems as well. So what this first page is about, and this is something that's new with Washington that's included within this workspace, is that we can easily configure these integrations with these data sources so we
Mhm.
can bring in the likes of the events, the logs, and the metrics. So that's our first kind of port of call with that is okay, so now we're receiving noise. Now the next step is what do we do with the noise? So Express List has also been added into here. And
Mhm.
what this is really good at is allowing us to understand noise.
Right.
So when we receive events, they're turned into alerts. They're grouped into alerts. Now, what's really nice is with the latest functionality we have available to us is that using this is our first kind of protocol for AI and machine learning, by the way, alert grouping. So there's
Okay.
some fantastic functionality here, and this isn't part of AIOps enterprise licensing. This is part of ITOM Health still, so around event management really. Um, it will use machine learning to group alerts. So, for example, we can see in here that we have different kind of grouping types. We've got automated, we've got rules based, we've got some manual ones, CMDB
Mhm.
related. And what this means is that from a operator perspective, so if you're one of these people on the operations desk and you're monitoring, all these applications and your infrastructure, You want this to be as simple as possible. What you don't want is a massive list of events and alerts to go through to understanding, oh, which one do I go into? Which one is the priority?
Right.
Again, this is all about understanding how we can accelerate finding the root cause. So what ServiceNow has done is really good is to be able to group these alerts by similarity. So for example, it could be the same CI. It could be the same CI with the same metric, which is failing. It could be that it's part of the same application service dependency map. So it's been able to group these alerts in such a way that we can concentrate our efforts. And when you fix one, it fixes all, for example.
Right. Okay.
So this is fantastic view for you to be able to kind of filter those down and use this as a kind of operational list to work with. But what I want to bring you to next is essentially our next phase, which is around root cause analysis. So those who have seen the service dashboard before, so I'm going to mention the word CSDM, and the criticality of having a mature CSDM for this is, I think, in my mind, it's quite important. It's quite high, right? If you have your application services defined with accurate relationships back to your infrastructure CIs, then you're going to get so much value from this. So by having that structure in place and receiving our events and alerts and things like that, we're able to see immediately what application services are impacted when these events and alerts actually happen. So what we have the ability to do in here is utilize something called metric intelligence. So what I'm going to show you here is I'm going to go into the primary alert for this one. This is to do with disk usage, where we've received it from a particular platform where it centers some
Right.
events. And if I just go into the metrics, just wait for that to load here. And I'll stick to this view. I'll keep it high level. So you can see here that we've received metrics from this device where we know that there's a event and alert on. And again, this gives the operator that glancing view of what's happening or what's happened. They can specify by the actual time where things have happened. So you can see them really important stats and metrics from the devices, which gives them a bit more information about when it happened, but they don't really understand why at this stage. So again, this helps find root cause, maybe down to the CIs, but maybe not why.
True.
Next is all about understanding what is the impact to this. So they know this is happening, but how can they utilize other features and capabilities of ITOM to understanding what the impact is? And as we know through dependency maps and the likes of service mapping, we can understand the impact. So they could utilize this to seeing, okay, so you can see there's an issue on Oracle. What is the upwards impacts of this particular issue? They could utilize the history map to then understanding, comparing on from times what's actually changed in the map to understanding again. You're now looking at root cause analysis to finding, oh, okay, maybe I can see that there's a change in a particular CI at a particular point of time, which has caused this issue.
Right.
I think what I like as well is if I just go into related records. So not only does it kind of link in those, impacted services because we're aware of that kind of impact tree. Again, next AI feature that we have available to us is probable root causes. So what's really nice with this is it can tie into the likes of your change records to looking at your CI. So if it knows what CI it is and the time frame when this happened, it uses that machine learning to understand that, oh, actually, I see that you raised a change to do with this CI that was impacted. In the same time frame, maybe you want to have a look at it to find out if that was the actual true cause of the issue. So again, accelerating the ability for you to find the root cause. But now what I like is what we've just gone through there is all things available in ITOM Health, not even AIOps package. The next bit is around logs. And I mentioned around health log analytics. So what this does is it sits on your mid server. It connects in with your different logging tool sets. It receives logs like application logs, and it can detect anomalous behavior. So,
Mm-hmm.
for example, if you're getting a number of error messages from a particular application and it's not normal, then it's going to flag that up. It's going to flag that
Right.
up as an issue, as something it may want to go away and investigate. But the power and the value of this, if I just go back to the metrics here, I want to show you something in Metric Explorer, which is fantastic. That if I just go to disk space used and just toggle this box here to say show alerts on the CI,
Mm-hmm.
see these little
Yeah.
kind of alert icons
Right.
here. This is ones where the health log analytics has found the issue before it's become
Oh,
an issue. So here you can see the difference in time is probably about, I don't know, it could be just 15 minutes.
right.
But do you know what? That 15 minutes could be absolutely everything for a lot of organizations. If you're aware of the issue, if it's found that there's anomalous behavior, something's going on before something is triggered, like the events and the alerts, like it's, the disk space thing, it's gone above a certain percentage, then you have that extra time here to be able to figure out what the issue is and do some remediation before the likes of your customers are going to call you and say, "Hey, I found an issue here, or there's an issue accessing my application."
Hmm.
So that's really where the power comes into this. But
Right.
in addition to that, you have the ability to then look at those logs. So these logs are sent into the ServiceNow, and you can have a look for a certain time period and start to delve deeper into what logs are actually received. So again, giving the operations person a lot more information and data at their hands to then finding root cause once again.
Right. So it means these logs are narrow down my RCA part, that okay, this is
Yeah.
the time period where I have to be seeing, instead of going in hours and hours. Now this 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes bracket where you can see maximum logs, and then you can analyze that particular part. And
Yeah, and it's all about utilizing all the tools at your fingertips. So
right.
having the logs, having the metrics, having the probable root cause
Mhm.
information, having service maps to be able to understand what's actually changed in the configuration
Right.
of your map. And I think it's more of a kind of combination of all of these kind of tools help you understand a bit more about where potentially the root cause could actually be. And what's quite nice about this is that it's trainable. So if the health log analytics tool has, created one of these alerts on your
Mhm.
behalf by finding something anomalous, and if it's just noise and if it's something you're aware of and it's like, actually, no, I don't care about that. That's normal. That's don't worry about it. You can apply feedback. So you can say back to the model to say, no, we want less of this, please. Please silent that. That's not an issue. Go away. Or equally, you could say, actually, this is significant. This is actually a fantastic finding. Let's keep an eye on it. So that's really good. So this is what I was talking about, the configurability, in that no, you don't have to go into the gubbins of scripts and you know
Right.
understanding how the algorithm fits together. You simply train it. You simply train it by telling it what's good and what's bad. Um, so, in terms of looking at the root cause analysis, I think that's all the pieces actually covered. I think what I
Mhm.
wanted to show you is I wasn't going to mention Gen AI because I know you had someone on last week talking about Gen AI. You can't get through a conversation without talking about Gen AI.
Right.
But of course, there's more and more functionality coming with Gen AI. I've had a look at the roadmap as well for the
Mhm.
entire year, and there's loads of really cool things coming in this space. At the moment, we've only got summarization of the likes of the alerts, which is
Okay.
helpful because um, sometimes it can just be confusing.
Hmm.
It's just like a lot of just kind of metric data, and it doesn't completely make sense. So it's good to kind of summarize it and again give them and that extra bit of efficiency to understand what the alert is actually about, which is quite nice.
Okay.
Um, but I think the final kind of piece in this puzzle of the phases, and we'll come to the questions next, um, is about remediation. So we
Right.
talked about the ability for you to utilize integration hub. So, okay, so at this stage of this process, we know that we've received the events and alerts, and perhaps we've got an incident that we're working against for this particular issue, and we've determined the root cause, and this is now our actions, right? This is now what we're going to do. Now we've determined the root cause. Now, those who have used, and I'm sure you may well like it at all around the process automation designer and
Correct.
playbook.
Right.
Yeah. So again, uniformity, simplicity of following a consistent process. So
Okay.
the ability for you to say, okay, let's review the service metrics. So again, just giving them some tasks to do. Some of these may well be manual at the moment. Notify the business. This is all about communication, right? So we're being proactive. We're telling them that your service is degraded. And now we have the ability to run our integrations. So I'm aware of organizations where they've built out this whole catalog and
Right.
and library of integration hub spokes and integrations where they're able to run these kind of one-off integrations where they could, for example, expand the disk space. So they can literally just click on a button if they found that the root cause of this, the volume of logs, is because there's a disk space issue. They could click that, and it will execute it automatically. And then what you will see off the back of this is, I'll just click on a few of them. You can see that this is automatically closed. So again, automation around the fact that we have fixed it and
Right.
it closed it off. And eventually what we will see is the likes of this order status go green. So everything's back to normal again.
Back to normal. Wow. So means for a operator, for a user, color code is also important to be understand that what's going on in this particular area.
Exactly, yeah. It's about that maintaining that communication, maybe
Yes.
showing an announcement on the service portal to say, hey, just to let you know, we think there's an issue out there and it could be degraded. What that does is stop them calling your service desk. It's like, we're
Right.
already aware of the issue. I think that can only be a good thing from a net promoter score, a customer satisfaction score
Yes.
point of view. You're being proactive. You're telling them, hey, we know there's an issue here. Just letting you know. Don't need to call us up. We're on it.
Wow.
Um, just finally, and a lot of the questions that we get from our customers anyway is around value.
Yes.
And there's a couple of dashboards that really help with this, and it does some fantastic calculations in here to help you kind of prove value from this. So you can start to track those kind of KPIs about how much time your mean time to resolve has that actually come
Right.
down. How much are we actually reducing the noise and the events and the alerts? There's lots of kind of measurements and benchmarks that you can work against here to proving value against what you're doing here with AIOps, which is fantastic.
And
Um,
it is available in the workspace only, right? Nothing to be go outside from the workspace.
yeah, so its intent is so I think pre-Washington there were some of these features was available outside of the workspace. It's
Right.
now starting to see that it's all becoming all part of the service operations workspace.
Nice.
So you
Nice.
don't need to go back and forward between the different
Sure.
native client views. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, looks very, very interesting and very tempting as well, James. So I have few questions now for you.
Yeah.
The first question put by Jerry that, hi James, would there be any threshold? What would be the configure to identify the issue?
Would there be
Anywhere
threshold?
we can put the some threshold that okay, if 20 issues are there, then only this thing should be happen, or I have to go for the AIOps. What do you
Yeah,
think?
and they are. So I don't know if you're talking about like event thresholds or alert thresholds or thresholds when it actually becomes a recorded ticket or something in ServiceNow. So, for example, with the anomalies, you can configure the boundaries. You
Right.
can configure the boundaries and again use that ML feedback, the machine learning feedback, to say this is too much noise. I don't receive any more of these. But there are, with the likes of the metric intelligence, you can define what those boundaries are, or you hear of like flapping in the past with event management. You hear that you'll get alerts. It'll be like, I have a problem. No, I'm fixed. No, I have a problem. No, I'm fixed. You can start to you can configure those. One thing that I didn't mention was if you don't have AIOps in terms of that licensing model and health log analytics, you can still configure alert management rules. So using your event management application, you can go in and say, okay, if I'm receiving this type of alert or event, it could be a particular metric, then I want to trigger an automation automatically. So you can go as quick as that and not rely on the likes of AI ops. But I think what this is more about finding the issue before it becomes an issue
Correct.
with AI ops. So it's slightly different. So hopefully that answers your question in terms of thresholds, because it is all about managing the noise. And I think that's where we kind of come in as kind of consultants as well, to help them through what is noise and what is not noise and how to configure that look and feel. No worries, Jerry. Thank you. Good question.
Okay, I'll put the second question again from the James, sorry, Jerry, and then we'll come to the Parikshas as well.
Yeah.
That are there ServiceNow modules that you need to be unable to make AI ops more effective? I'm sure that CSGM is required for this one. That is the topmost.
Yeah, I think so. To be honest with you, I think it's all built around the maturity of your CMDB, and I think this is where customers fall over a lot. I think, and if you don't have that maturity in terms of CSDM and have that set up to your application services, then you don't know what that impact is to your business. If you're being proactive, I mean, you can still be proactive in fixing issues where it's finding things, but do you know what I mean? I think the real value is coming in where you're able to communicate to the business, hey, I've got this
Right.
problem. You're not aware of it, but we're aware of it, but we're letting you know. Um, so that's where the real kind of value comes in. I'm trying to think of other applications where they can help. There's lots of different plugins with this, by the way. I couldn't point to one particular plugin family that you just enable and it turns everything on. For example, that Express List, I think, is a separate plugin as well. So that's something that I would advise. That was a much better kind of cut down view of your alert grouping. Fantastic functionality to filter those alerts as well. But no, I think CSDM and the kind of data foundations dashboards that you see, there's a few plugins for those. I think that would be probably the starting point.
Okay. Good. So hope Jerry, you got the answer of this particular question here. Now something which is I want to be known as a James because you are certified master architect as well, and there's a lot of people who are entering the ServiceNow domain. And some one question put by Pariksha as well. I started as a ServiceNow desk analyst, and now I'm problem manager, and I want to switch to ServiceNow consulting. Can you guide me that? What step, what journey they should follow? Because you say that you learn by yourself. Now the question
Mm.
comes that what do you mean by the learn by yourself? That what resources you use? Do you have any
Yeah,
plan on that place? Do you have any path on that place so that
yeah.
everybody can follow and definitely move forward?
Yeah, so for me, I'm incredibly visual. I think for my learning, when I did this myself, okay, yes, you do your now learning courses, and you pick up the theory in doing that. But where I've learned is where I just try and go away and build things myself. This is where I absolutely love PDI. So when I started, there was no PDIs. There was no personal developer instances. It was just, if you're lucky enough, the organization that you work for will have a spare instance that they can assign to you so you can try it out. But you have no excuses now, right? You've got the
Yes.
PDIs. It's all about just trying it. Just go in, try and configure it, try to break it, try and come up with scenarios. What I used to do, right, is I used to take the stories from previous projects. So if you're lucky enough to work with a partner and they've got multiple different projects going on at the
Yes.
same
Right.
time, then you essentially have this kind of library of previous requirements. So what I used to do is I used to take them and just try and deliver them myself in a PDI or in my instance that I was assigned. So you
Nice.
have that kind of real world experience sort of, and you start to come up with your own approaches, and you come up with stumbling blocks. And I
True.
think rely on the community, ask questions. We said this before about
Yes.
ask questions, ask. Don't be afraid to put things out in the forum either. It's not a stupid question. It's bound to have been asked before as well. The community forums are fantastic. There's like Discord groups for help as well. There's
Right.
lots of different avenues where you can get information. I think me, because I'm quite stubborn, I will try and spend the time in figuring something out. I don't like it when I can't figure something out. If
Mhm.
something's not working correctly, it could be a script, it could be a process, it could be a feature, and I'm like, I just don't understand why that's not working. I will dedicate the time to trying to figure it out myself. But there will come a point where it's like, especially if you're working for a partner, and you're only afforded so much time to doing these sorts of things. So definitely spend the time in trying to figuring something out yourself. If you're seeing that it's going to take too long now, let's go and ask some people.
For the
Understand who
advice.
the SMEs are in those areas. I'm sure they'll be absolutely happy to help you.
Yes, definitely. I have few questions on this part, James, regarding this AI ops. Can I activate AI ops in the PDI?
So best way to do it is actually through Demo Hub. So
The demo hub is not available for everybody, I'm sure. It's only for the
no,
partners.
and I
And
think it is fairly restricted AIOps.
yes,
It is. It used to be as well that you had to have a specific demo instance. So it had to have the word demo in the URL, for instance. So you had to work with your ServiceNow partners in terms of getting one of those instances. But for me, if you are working with a partner and you don't have one of those instances available, we spoke to our partner acceleration lead and they were able to help us out to finding an instance. Um, but if you are lucky enough to have access to Demo Hub, it's not reliant on you having that demo bit now. So
demo
if
is
you
right.
can install Demo Hub on an instance that is probably not a PDI, then you do have the ability to see exactly what I've just seen. All of that what I've demoed to
Right.
you today was
Okay.
purely from Demo Hub. They have some fantastic material that talks
Mhm.
you through the scenarios and each of the steps to follow through, which is fantastic.
Okay.
If not, I suggest watching videos from James Downs and, and talk over.
Definitely. No, that's very much true because I already put for everybody. If you want to connect with James regarding the AI ops discussions, or you want to follow the ducks as well, I already share the YouTube links and the LinkedIn page as well. You can follow them. One more thing, James, that as we say that predictive intelligence needs some data. Is any limit for this one, like 30,000, 20,000 records should be there so that it can design some kind of a pattern, similarity, and then can give me results? Or it's like one record is there, we can build something on that particular part.
Yeah, so you don't need to build up the framework or the rules. It's all kind of pre-built in. But you're right in terms of it needs to um, it needs to have the number of records for the predictive intelligence part to work. You're absolutely right, and I think you're right with the number as well in terms
Okay.
of the amount
30,000,
of
right?
records. I'm not sure if that's completely true in terms of finding the probable root cause, because I know all that's really looking for is where changes have the same CIs and they're in the same time period. So that's not really restrictive by looking at a number of change records. Um, but in terms of like finding similar incidents, I didn't show that before, but that was there as well about finding similar alerts, similar incidents. Of course, that is reliant on having a good number of records in your database. Yeah.
Hmm. And also in AI ops, do we have any concept called the major similarity or major group or major RC kind of things?
No, I think because of that grouping, there is a primary alert.
Okay.
So instead of working when it's in a grouping of alerts, it doesn't. You don't have to kind of go through each one of them to put in the updates or anything like that. You just work on the primary alert,
Okay.
and everything is then kind of cascaded.
Okay. Two more questions. Number one, I saw that you are certified master architect. What is the path to follow on that particular part, and which type of profiles that certification must suit actually? Because in our discussions we have a lot of people who are core technical and they always say, "Atul, shall I go for the CTO or shall I go for the CMA?" What are
Yeah.
your thoughts on that particular part?
Yeah, and I think there's even more programs out there now as well. I think there's four kind of
Architects.
mastery programs out there.
Yes.
There's so many out there. But yeah, in terms of my choice, because yes, there was. You're right. Absolutely, there was CTA, CMA, and then for me, I had that discussion with my line management about what one was right for me
Mhm.
because they are very different. CTA is obviously very much focused on the technical abilities of the platform and being able to, as an architect,
Mhm.
being able to portray that to particular stakeholders within your customers, and being able to give roadmaps and the proper route forward for that. Whereas CMA was very much geared towards value, so it's almost pre-salesy, I would say, slightly,
Okay.
or aligned to those kind of advisory architects where you're able to understand what the products mean in terms of value for your customers.
Mhm.
So what impact is it going to have on their overall efficiency? How is it going to impact the growth of their platform going forward? So you have to think about things like governance and OCM and um, all the kind of important aspects of their kind of roadmap going forward. So you're their trusted advisor in essence. And my entry into that is you have to have certain number of certifications. You
Right.
had to have 5 CIS certifications,
Right.
which can include, the admin and the app dev one as well, by the way. So I think over my time, I think I've got about 8 or 9. I've
Hmm.
come across some of them who have about 20
Yes.
who was on the course. I was like, wow,
Right.
that's a lot. But no, I think for me, the other entry kind of requirements was around, having worked with enterprise level customers is quite important.
Right.
As part of the application process, you have to provide the kind of evidence where you've worked on those and where you have detailed your role in those. What was the big challenges that came from it? It's all about being able to speak to these individuals to like that C-suite level and being comfortable in talking to them. I think one of the biggest things that I got from the program itself, again, came back to the kind of soft skills. It was
Mhm.
about how can you portray what you're doing in PowerPoints? How can you talk to the C-level suite where you can't talk too technical? If
Right.
you're talking to the CIO or to, I don't know, the platform owner, it's a completely different conversation if you're talking to their lead enterprise architect. So it's about being able to apply yourself in the right way, being able to talk to value all the time, and being able to talk to their outcomes. So it's very much outcome driven as opposed to kind of technical product driven, if that makes sense.
Okay. Nice. Okay. Last question. Then we definitely wrap up.
Yeah.
How I can get this hoodie of the service ducks?
We haven't opened a store yet, but it's actually it's quite warm. It's really warm here in the UK right now, so I don't know why I chose to wear it. But no, we'll open our merch store soon.
So is it something specifically you guys only have a printed for your purpose, or you will be distributing for everybody
Yeah,
else?
Russell has a blue one. I've got a yellow one.
Oh my god.
What we are going to do soon though is to get some branded just little ducks. So for all of our guests, so we would love to have you on Atul as a guest on our
Oh
podcast.
wow.
You would be
Definitely.
able to maybe receive one of these little ducks as a memento.
That's nice. So good for me, definitely. Okay, so I guess there's no other question is there, and we're already over 8 minutes here.
Yeah,
So before we formally close this session, James, as I'll go with my tradition
yeah,
here, we'll take a few seconds pause here to thanks to God that He gave us a power and strength to speak, to share our knowledge, share our thoughts with the community, and then finally formally close the session as well. So just 5-10 seconds to pause here. Okay, so thank you so much, James, for joining this session with me in the morning, and thank you so much who joined online virtually with me. I know that in India today we have a two dev meetups are going on, one in Bangalore and one in
oh well,
Indore, and tomorrow we have an online dev meetup for Pune, and today evening it's a meetup for the Delhi as well. So there are few less people join today, but definitely I respect your time. You give a good knowledge to me. Definitely I'll go and watch this podcast again. And thank you so much once again for your time and efforts to come here and enlightening everybody to be here. Thank you so much, and see you again some other day with some other new topic. Not definitely AIOps, some other topic which come in the market. Maybe Gen AI can be, we can discuss
maybe.
on that particular part as well. And next time I'll try to invite both the ducks together.
Oh yeah, he's getting very jealous now. He's going to be very jealous. Thank you
No
very much
problem.
for having me
Yeah,
on,
sure.
Atul.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Jim.
it.
Thanks